Thank you for joining us today for our third event in our Summer Success Workshop series. This is our most exciting one, if you were to ask me, because this is our student panel where you'll get to ask questions and hear from students about their own experiences. We'll be recording this session, so after the event, you'll be able to find the recordings on our webpage, YouTube channel, and social media. You can find all of our social media at Rowan SSP. My name is Erin Hanna, Associate Director of Student Support Services. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Together, our team supports students in a multitude of areas, including tutoring, success coaching, and early intervention outreach. Please enter any questions that you have in the chat as we go along, and we'll answer them towards the end. We will be asking our panelists a series of questions throughout, but then again, you'll have the opportunity to ask any questions or put them in the chat as we go along.
First up, we will have Ashley.
Hi everyone, my name's Ashley. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am currently a master's student studying higher education, and I'm from Swedesboro, New Jersey. So if you're from Swedesboro, well, woohoo. And then my tip for everybody would to be use ProfLink as much as you can. That's where you can find all the events on the campus, either Glassboro or other campuses, and you can literally just look on your phone and see what events are happening where, and then you can pop in.
Thank you, Ashley. That's a great tip. Next, we have Bennett.
Hi guys, I'm Bennett Klein-Hans. I'm a pharmaceutical chemistry master's student here at Rowan. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I'm from Long Valley, New Jersey. That's about 2 hours north of here. I was a transfer student to Rowan, so I got my undergraduate and continued on my graduates. And my tip is to get involved in your major's department, whether it be like a job or any project they have going on. Or research, because I don't think there's any department on campus that doesn't have something like that going on, and they'll most likely help you pay for your education or just give you experience towards your major.
Thanks, Bennett, for sharing. We love working with him. Next up is Leah.
Hi everyone, my name is Leah Donaghy. My pronouns are she, hers, hers. I'm also a grad student here studying counseling and education studies settings. I actually live right in Glassboro, real close to Rowan. And my tip would be to try something that makes you a little bit nervous. I'm not the most outgoing person, so coming to campus, I was scared to join new things. But once I did, it made the best time at Rowan, and it made my experience here.
Definitely a great tip. Definitely can be scary. So next up is Marcello.
Hey everyone, my name is Marcello. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm a senior at Rowan. My major is psychology. My hometown is Homedale, which is about 2 hours north of here, about 30 minutes from the city. And my tip is to try not to be intimidated by new experiences on campus, because as a freshman, there's a lot of new things in your face. So it's kind of easy to get overwhelmed. So try not to get intimidated.
Another great one. Next up is Emily.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily Olson. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am also a master's student here at Rowan studying higher education, and I graduated in 2020 from Rowan also with a bachelor in health and exercise science. I'm originally from Mays Landing, so not too far from campus. And then my tip would be to find at least one thing outside of academics to get involved in. I think everyone that comes to school gets very overwhelmed with the classes that they're taking and the big transition from high school to college. So I think it's important to find that balance and find something that, you know, that's your home away from home, whether that's a club or an activity that you get involved in that has nothing to do with academics.
These are all great tips. I did not introduce myself, so I just wanted to just introduce myself. My name is Erica Garcia Conway. I'm a student success coordinator, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. So up next, I'm going to ask the student panel some questions. Each of them are going to have the opportunity to respond. The first one is, what is it like living on campus, or as a commuter, what is it like?
Can go ahead and start with this one because I actually did my undergraduate degree here at Rowan, and now I'm in a master's program. And as an undergraduate student, I was a commuter, and now as a graduate student, I live on campus. So I kind of got to see the best of both worlds here. But definitely for all the commuters, get involved because it is really easy, like Emily said, just to go to class and then feel overwhelmed with other things and other options you have. So try to get involved with at least the one extra club or one extra organization, because that makes Rowan feel a lot more like that full college experience that you might be missing since you have to commute every day. And obviously, living on campus, you can still do the same thing and encourage your classmates, if they are commuters, to kind of sit with you, maybe go ahead and grab lunch together versus having them sit in their car in between classes and eat lunch. It's just a great way to have everybody on campus, especially because we can be on campus again. And that way, nobody feels like they're either hiding in their dorm room or hiding in their car in between classes.
I can go next. I would say, so I also lived on campus for my undergrad and lived on campus now for my master's. And full of vulnerability here, I think I was very homesick in the beginning when I first moved to campus as a freshman. I'm only about 40 minutes from campus, but it still was my first time ever living alone and without the guidance of my parents 24/7. So I think that, being nervous is a very normal feeling to have when you're moving away, especially when there's students that move hours away from their hometown that they grew up in. So I think it's just very normal to feel those things. And I think that that's something important that we all have to realize, that you may feel a lot of different feelings when moving away to school. But it's also very exciting because it teaches you a lot about yourself and, how to live on your own if it's, the first time you're ever doing so. So for me, it was, I was very nervous at first, but I loved it. I met, you are forced to meet a lot of people, whether you like them or not. And, living with roommates that you may, become your best friends, or you may have bad experiences with them. But I think it all just shapes us into who we are. So for me, it was great, but I think it really is, how you make it.
I can jump on next. So I did live on campus during my undergrad, and right now I'm commuting. But living on campus was amazing for me. Everything was so close that I had the opportunity to get involved in everything and anything that I wanted to. But it took some time to figure out time management skills because there was so much I wanted to do. So once I figured out a schedule that worked for me, I think I got the most out of living on campus. And now, as a commuter coming back and forth, I realize how important time management is, just making sure I get to places on time and making sure I'm flexible enough to do the things that I want to. So they both have pros and cons, I would say.
Does anybody else want to take a stab at this or answer this one?
I can answer because I lived on campus since I was a transfer student too. Pretty much all until last year where I live. I pretty much still live on campus just right off in a house. It was really nice. There's lots of stuff to do. I remember having just a full calendar all like 24/7. It'd be like class, then like yoga or something, some fitness thing, and then work and like tutoring. So there's plenty of stuff to do. There's plenty of food to eat on campus. There's always people out until like 1:30 in the morning. I'd say there's people walking around, doing things. People, especially when it's nice and warm out, people are hanging out outside on the different, tables and benches. Um, I remember it also depends on your roommates and all that. That's a big factor in how you're going to enjoy living on campus. I had a really bad one my first year, but just meant I left my go more often. So but yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it when I did it. I kind of wish I could still do it now, but I'm well past that part of my education and experience. So.
Okay, so our next question is, how long did it take you to become familiar with the campus? Ashley, would you like to start?
Yes. So also as a commuter student, I was a transfer student. So going into my sophomore year of college, I had no idea what Rowan was as a transfer student. I didn't have a campus tour or anything. So you kind of have to find your own way. If you are struggling, there are plenty of campus maps placed all over campus, or you can stop in the student center at the information desk and they will have maps for you. But the layout is pretty basic. You know, you have the main hub, which is the student center, and that has all the other information, and then your classes, they're generally all located in the same area. But basically, if you have time, I would suggest just walking around, kind of figuring where things are, especially if it's nice out. And then within probably a week, I knew where all the buildings were and was able to, utilize the rec center, the fitness center, the library, the student center where the marketplace is, and all that great stuff.
Marcella, would you like to answer?
Sure. So for the first couple of years, my freshman and sophomore year, I kind of just, the couple days before school actually started, I just kind of walked around campus with my map, not a map, but like on my phone, I kind of took a screenshot of the map of the campus, and I just kind of walked around and saw where everything was. So that way, when school actually started, I just kind of knew where everything was. So it's definitely like a big thing I'd say to do, was just before school starts, just go and walk around, because it's not like a huge campus, it's definitely easier to navigate. So just yeah, that was my experience with it. It was actually not that bad.
Marcello, did you also found where all of your classes were prior?
Yeah, I went inside the buildings, I walked around, saw where all the room numbers are, and I just kind of figured my way out. So pretty nice.
Great, thank you. Anybody else want to talk about that? Did anybody have trouble adjusting to the campus or the size of campus?
I mean, I can just join in real quick. I don't think I had trouble, but just to go off of what Marcello was saying, I think it was definitely like it made my life a lot easier going around and looking at where all of the buildings were ahead of time, and especially the classes. And I feel like generally most of the academic buildings that have multiple floors to them, it's like 1, 2, 3 is usually like a rule of thumb. Like all of my classes were in James for my undergrad major and now my master's. So all of the first floor rooms were all started with a 1, all the second floor started with a 2 and 3. So that definitely helped me a lot, but I think it's a good thing to just walk around campus just to see where you are and just get to know where you're at, because even though you may never go into the engineering building, okay, so you'll never know that there's an Einstein bagel in there. Like there's just other things than just classrooms. It's just good to know what, all the things that Rowan has, even if it's not a building that you go in that often.
Great, thank you, Emily. We'll go ahead to our next question.
So where is the best place to eat on campus? And I want to hear from everybody because I'm sure you all have a different spot. So Leah, would you like to start this one?
Yeah, sure. So I think my favorite on campus would be in the student centers. I love Jersey Mike's. But if I'm down on like Rowan Boulevard, I think my favorite would be Chicken and Pete's. I love crab fries.
I'd say that my favorite place is actually Holly Point Cafeteria. I tried the student center for about a year. I don't know, I didn't really I mean, I didn't not like it, but I think the food in the Holly Point Cafe was a little better. And I think there was just more options every day, you know. So I kind of just went there all the time instead of the student center. So definitely the Holly Point Cafe for me.
For all the commuter students out there and the non-commuter students, there is like a little convenience store on the bottom floor of the student center, and basically I call that the student center Wawa because it serves Wawa coffee and it's a convenience store, so there's a lot of the grab and go type food there. You don't have to have a meal plan to go there, so you can use cash, your debit card, or credit cards there, as well as the meal plans. But that was a great place for me to stop by if I was on my way to class really quick and I forgot lunch at home or something. It was a great place to pick that up. And then definitely on Rowan Boulevard, I love pizza, so the new La Scala's is my favorite place on the Rowan Boulevard.
Awesome, Ashley. Thank you.
So I mean, from freshman year to now, Rowan, I think, has changed their eating choices a lot. I was a little heartbroken when the salad place downstairs in the student center closed after freshman year because that was definitely my go-to. But I would also agree that Holly Point was probably my go-to. When I moved into Rowan Boulevard, I cooked a lot, so I just had a block plan just for when I really didn't feel like cooking. So Holly Point was typically the place to go because even if you have no idea what you want, they pretty much had everything that you could want there. So it was definitely a lot of choices, healthy choices. And I like that Rowan is so conscious of making sure that they are giving out food that also is available for people that are gluten-free or have peanut allergies or vegetarian, all the main allergies. I think that's really good too, especially for someone like me. I don't eat meat, so there was always a lot of options vegetarian wise.
Thanks, Emily. And I just wanted to follow up, Ashley, can you talk, and I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this, but about meal plans, or can anyone talk about meal plans and kind of what you might recommend for students depending on their circumstances?
So I can talk because I had a limited meal plan when I transferred here just because maybe I'll tell I'm 6'6", so I eat a lot of food, and that was like the main thing. I just wanted to be able to eat whenever I wanted, as much as I wanted. And to add on before, definitely Holly Point. A lot of people will tell you Holly Point is the worst food ever because they don't like eating vegetables and just like regular chicken. But I loved it because I could go eat like 4 chicken breasts and whatever else I wanted. Like I could get all the protein. And then it stinks after 9 o'clock when it closes because your only options are like cheesesteak and chicken fingers from under the student center. So, but yeah, you do have a lot of options. You got all those block plans where you can make like 30, get like 30 meals a month. You can get like 5 or 7 meals a week. And then you can also do, what else? There's unlimited. Do you guys know the other meal plans?
I think there was 30 block, 60 block for the whole semester, and then the 7, maybe 10 meals a week, and then unlimited.
Yeah. I think you're better getting unlimited than the one before it because it's not that much more expensive if you like to eat. Because then you can just go get food whenever you want. So I'd be going, especially when they made all the to-go places. Like I'd be going to the cafeteria to get regular food, and then I would just go get a meal anyway in case I got hungry later after like midnight, and I just have that in my fridge or something back home to take out. So there's definitely were a lot of options, but the only thing I mentioned was after 9, it can be hard to get something healthy.
Thanks, Bennett. Thank you. Does anybody else want to talk about their favorite place to eat? Did anyone not have a chance? All right, let's move on.
All right, so the next question. What was one obstacle you encountered and what resources did you use to overcome it? So who wants to?
I can start this one. I know I keep saying that I was a transfer commuter student, but as a transfer commuter student, it felt like I was back going to my first day as a freshman all over again of my second year of college. So I had 2 first days of college, and Rowan is a pretty big school. They have lots of organizations you can get involved in through student government organization or other sports clubs on campus through the rec center. So my tip is definitely use ProfLink. I said that in the beginning, but I used ProfLink my entire time here at Rowan, and I was so easy to see on my phone as I was walking past the buildings on campus, be like, oh, there's a free food event in James Hall right now. I'm gonna go pick up some food on my way to class and learn something about Rowan. Or literally as you're on your way to class anywhere. So it was really nice, and you're able to schedule and see. You can add it to your calendar. I also use my Google Calendar a lot just as a time management little tip, because it is scary coming your first day back to Rowan. You don't know where anything is. You don't know what to do. It's overwhelming. So use ProfLink. That's what I used, and I got super involved and had a great time. Besides just going to class, because class is also important. But just having the best of both worlds at Rowan and getting super involved is using ProfLink is something that I would highly recommend.
Thanks, Ashley.
I can go next. So coming to Rowan, I actually have a disability. So I'm in a wheelchair. And I wasn't sure where to really start to make sure my housing was accessible or my classrooms or anything like that. So I used the Academic Success Center, specifically the disability resources they have, to make sure I have accommodations for housing, to make sure everything is accessible, that my classrooms were on the first floor just in case an elevator broke, and just extra time with tests if I needed it, just to make sure I can be as successful as possible at Rowan. So I would definitely recommend sharing that you have a disability through their services, just to make sure you have all the accommodations that you need.
Thanks, Leah, for sharing. And I would I just want to take a second to plug the Academic Success Center, and just to, again, encourage any students who have any sort of considered disability. That would be ADD as well. That would be anxiety, depression. There's a wide gamut of things that would allow students to register for accommodations. And again, I would just encourage any student who might qualify for that to go ahead and register. That doesn't mean you have to utilize them. So I think that Laura would be able to provide the AIM link if you do have a disability that you could register for, and you can just register online. Thanks, Leah, again. Anybody else want to share?
I'll share. So when I came to Rowan, I was undecided as a major, and I was undecided for at least about a year. And so I was kind of, as sophomore year came around, and I was like, okay, I kind of really want to focus on what I want to do here. So I emailed my advisor, and they direct me to the Office of Career Advancement. And I met with someone, and like for about a couple weeks, they like really helped me out in figuring out what I like to do. I forget what website they sent to me, but it was like this thing where like you took a test, and it took all these factors about you, and it gave you a list of possible careers. So that was really helpful. But yeah, that was like a huge obstacle that I encountered. And Focus 2, yeah, that was it. Focus 2 is the name of it. It was really helpful. But yeah, that was a huge help for figuring out what I want to do. So
awesome, thank you. Any other student want to hop in on this one? All right, let's go ahead and move to the next.
Okay, so what were your favorite experiences at Rowan? So I'm sure there were many, but if you could just pick one that stands out and share.
I can start on this one. This, I think, was my favorite question. I absolutely loved coming to Rowan. I would say there's two things, sorry, but I have to say two things. One would be working at the rec center. So I started working at the rec center the end of my sophomore year as a main office assistant. So people swiping, all the guests in. And I just fell in love with it. I was very confused at what I wanted to do when I came to Rowan as a health and exercise science major. And I never knew that working in higher education and campus recreation was even a possibility. And working here as a sophomore and, now I'm a grad student, it really just opened my eyes to so many opportunities. So I am just forever thankful for that and all the years that I've been here, and I have one more year to go. So that's definitely one. And then just to build off of that, I was the club president for the women's volleyball team here. So that was my home away from home when I wasn't doing schoolwork, was, hanging out with the volleyball girls, going to practices, going to tournaments. It really made my college career everything that I could have asked for, because I've met my absolute best friends that will soon be in my wedding one day. So I would definitely say those were, like you said, I have a lot of experiences at Rowan, but those were definitely the best two.
We're trying to emulate our student staff experience after what students get at the rec center, because we've heard only wonderful things, and Erica herself was part of that. Who else would like to share their a positive experience they had?
I can go. So my favorite thing that I done at Rowan, even though there's so many, was join in a co-ed service fraternity, Alpha Phi Omega. I just really loved it. There was something to do every single week, and I just couldn't wait to go back and do more things. And I even was able to get involved on some of the leadership boards. So I was vice president of service. So I planned a lot of the service events that we had, and it was a great opportunity to meet new people.
That sounds great.
I can go next. Well, some of my favorite experiences at Rowan are the Rowan after hours. Um, I didn't really go to them at first, but then I was a CSA, so I would like patrol the campus at night, and then we go to Raw just to hang out or take a break there. So I'd end up going and having them, and they just have so many cool, little interesting. They have like an animal night where you get to like hold all these different lizards and like snakes and stuff, and they have bingo nights, and you can win like actual money. You go in like a big. I don't know if they'll still do it with. I guess they do it online, but it gets really exciting, and they have thousands of dollars to give away. And if you go, you go with friends, and it just makes it more fun.
Thanks, Bennett.
One of the experiences that I had that I really loved was I had an on-campus job over in the alumni office, which led me to the student alumni organization, which is what I wanted to highlight, because as a undergraduate student, you're not really thinking about networking and how to get yourself one step further. So the Student Alumni Association connects students with alumni through various events, a big one being homecoming. They also have events at Topgolf and other fun events where students and alumni are able to network, and you're able to connect with people who you were never able to before. So that's definitely a great club to start thinking about. I was an executive chair of that club, so that was also a great leadership role that I had. So I would highly recommend joining that club, because it helps you while you're an undergrad kind of put yourself forward after when you graduate.
Thanks, Ashley. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next question. I think this is the last question that we have. So again, if any of the attendees want to post anything in the chat. So Erica, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I tend to take over things. I don't know why I do that.
What is one piece of advice you would give to an incoming student?
I can jump on. So I think the advice that I would give is definitely get involved. Don't be afraid to try new things, because that's how you figure out what you love and what you don't. And then on top of that, I would also recommend using the resources that Rowan has, because there's so many and they can help you in so many different areas to be more successful at Rowan.
Another piece of advice I would give to an incoming student is it's okay to be nervous and it's okay to feel overwhelmed in the first couple weeks of school. You're not alone. I can promise you almost everyone's feeling the same way because it is a big transition from wherever you're coming from. It's hard to feel like you already know what to do when it's your first day. So definitely embrace that feeling of being scared and then kind of channel it into something else, whether it's okay, midterms are coming up. It's my first time taking midterms. I'm going to focus on this. And then after this semester, I'm going to try to get involved with something in the spring. Give yourself that time. Set the bar high, but definitely don't make yourself overwhelmed because of the transition that you're going through right now, and everything will work out.
I'll jump on. I would just say, don't be afraid to talk to people just because you know, whether that's your classmates or your professors or just somebody walking by you or standing next to you, because you really never know who you're going to talk to, whether that could be a friend or, you know, someone that you can network with for the rest of your life. There are a lot of people that used to go to Rowan that are still in contact with people that, you know, work with me, that have helped them get jobs or have helped them land internships, or helped, you know, people through people. You know, you might have a friend that has a certain major and you met somebody that has the same major and they can help each other out. So I would say definitely, you know, it might be scary sometimes to talk to people. Definitely depends on who you are as a person, but I would say just try to get over that fear as much as possible because you really never know who you could run into and meet.
My advice would be to work on campus if you can, because you won't have to commute. Most if it's a federal work study, you don't have to work the entire. You're supposed to do a little bit of studying during your work. Like that's awesome. Um, so it just opens up a lot of doors. You get to meet the faculty. So try and do something like that, you know.
Marcello, do you have a piece of advice?
I'd say if anything, I mean, it depends on your study habits, but personally, I use the library a lot. So I'd say if you're into like getting out of your room to study or like getting out of a certain environment where you can't focus, definitely use the library, the campus library. Um, and it's like packed with little crevices and rooms where you can just sit and be and have quiet and peace and quiet and stuff. It's like really, really peaceful in there. And I know that for finals, I think like my sophomore year, they were handing out like sandwiches, like they were just giving out food and they were just giving out hot chocolate at night. It was really, really nice. So I definitely say utilize the library. It was a really, really nice place.
Awesome. And I think did we not hear from one person, right? Or did we get everybody?
I think we got everybody.
All right, awesome. So what questions, again, do you have? You can enter any questions you have in the chat. And just sort of while we're waiting, I wanted to see, Bennett, you mentioned federal work study. I think you said FWS specifically. Can you talk a little bit about what FWS or federal work study is?
So federal work study, you have to be qualified for it. Most people are, you know, for financial aid. And it's just a job you can get. And most departments have them. And you like I was saying before, you can study during it. Like most, if you talk to your boss, even if you let them know, oh, I have a project or something coming up, I'm gonna be working on it most of the day, they're perfectly fine with it. And most jobs, you know, they don't have a lot of tasks to complete. Um, but you know, you can become as involved as you want to be usually. Um, so like I was saying, it's a federal work studies in the name, so it's not just like a regular job. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, you know, what I did was I compared, do I want to go to McDonald's or somewhere and make 12 or whatever dollars an hour, or do I want to make a dollar less or whatever, and I can just come right to campus, which I live next to. I don't have to commute. I don't have to worry about all the stresses of a regular job, but I'm going back to campus. I'm not, doesn't seem like some crazy job you're going to. And they're fun. I don't know.
Thanks, Bennett. And I do want to just add the disclaimer that some work study jobs have keep you very busy and others don't. So again, that'd be something that if you do have federal work study and you take a job within a department that you're discussing with them. But Bennett, you make great points about the ease of it and the ability to network on campus.
And I just wanted to share about that as well. I was looking in the Rowan announcer, which that's another tip. Please make sure you read those. I know that can be overwhelming, but I saw many posts about federal work study and availability on positions here on campus for students who have federal work study. So I would definitely recommend, looking at the Rowan announcers and checking those out and see if the opportunity does arise. So.
Oh, I just want to add, all that money that you make, like it's barely taxed too, compared to a regular job. So like say you make $120 that week, you're getting paid like $118. You're not getting $20 taken out like at a regular job.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Learn something new all the time. And if you do have federal, well, the way you can check for federal work study, you can look at self-service banner in your financial aid, and you'd be able to see whether you or your student qualifies for financial aid there. All right, if we don't have any questions, I think that would be it for us for today. We appreciate you coming to our event or logging into our event. I do want to thank our students for taking time out of their extremely busy schedule to be here also and to answer our questions. Special thank you to Laura, Mike, and Erica for running the show behind the scenes, and Erica again for doing the majority of everything putting this workshop series together. If there are no other questions, that's it for us today. And I would just remind you to please follow Student Support Services at Rowan SSP. And thank you again for attending.